Tripitaka. 3 texts on consciousness only. By Hsiian-tsang. The 30 verses on consciousness only by Vasubandhu. The treatise in 20 verses, on consciousness only by Vasubandhu. Translated from the Chinese of Hsiian-tsang Francis H. Cook. First printing, 1999 Numata Center for Buddhist Translation and Research. Chapter 13. Bodhi.
The second result of the transmutation of the support is that which is acquired by generation, that is, great Bodhi. Despite the intrinsic existence of seeds that can generate Bodhi, nevertheless it is not generated because of the obstacle to that which is to be known. Through the power of the holy path, one eliminates that obstacle and therefore causes it to arise from the seeds, which is called acquiring Bodhi. Having arisen, it continues forever in a series. This Bodhi consists of classes of mind associated with the 4 kinds of knowledge.
1. Classes of mind associated with the 4 kinds of knowledge. What are the classes of mind associated with the 4 kinds of knowledge? The first is the class of mind, i.e., consciousness, mental activities, etc., associated with knowledge that is like a great, perfect mirror, that is, this class of mind is separated from all discrimination, its objects of perception and mode of activity are subtle and difficult to grasp, it is unforgetful and non-delusive regarding all objects, its nature and characteristics are pure and separated from all defilement, it is the support of the actual, dharmas, and the seeds of unadulterated, pure, perfect qualities, it can manifest bodies and lands and generate images of other knowledge, and it is incessant and uninterrupted forever, like a great, perfect mirror manifesting multitudes of images of forms.
The second is the class of mind associated with the knowledge of sameness, that is, this class of mind contemplates the complete sameness of all dharmas and oneself and other sentient beings. It is always associated with great benevolence, compassion, etc. It manifests varieties of forms of bodies of enjoyment and lands in conformity with the dispositions of sentient beings. It is the special support for the knowledge of wonderful observation, it is the foundation of nirvana with no fixed abode, and it continues without change forever.
The third is the class of mind associated with knowledge of wonderful observation. That is, this class of mind skillfully contemplates the special and common characteristics of all dharmas and evolves without obstruction. It inclusively contemplates innumerable methods of dharani and samadhi as well as the jewels of virtues that are generated. It is able to manifest boundless varieties of activities in all the great assemblies and have mastery over the activities. It reigns the great reign of the Dharma and eliminates all doubts, and it causes all sentient beings to secure benefit and gladness.
The fourth is the class of mind associated with the knowledge of achieving the task, that is, this class of mind manifests the 3 actions, of body, speech, and mind, of numerous transformations throughout space and the desire to benefit and gladden beings, and through the power of original vows it achieves all the things that should be done. Thus, even though each of the classes of mind associated with the 4 knowledges is without doubt made up of 22 dharmas, i.e., mind, mental activities, etc., and is born simultaneously with that which transforms, i.e., the seeing part of consciousness, and that which is transformed, i.e., the seen part of consciousness, seeds and actual results, nevertheless the function of knowing is strong, and they are indicated by the word knowing. Therefore these 4 classes include as a whole all conditioned qualities of the stage of Buddhahood without exception.
These 4 kinds of knowledge are acquired one after another by the transmutation of the class of mental dharmas associated with the 8th, 7th, 6th, and 1st, 5 consciousnesses, respectively. Even though knowledge is not consciousness, it nevertheless evolves supported by consciousness. Inasmuch as consciousness is king, knowledge is said to be acquired by the transmutation of consciousnesses. Also, in an impure state, knowledge is weak and consciousness is strong, while in a pure state, knowledge is strong and consciousness is weak. In order to motivate sentient beings to depend on knowledge and reject consciousness, it is therefore said that one acquires these 4 knowledges by transmuting the 8 consciousnesses.
There is an interpretation that the class of mind associated with great, perfect mirror knowledge first appears when the diamond-like samadhi is present in the bodhisattva, because both the seeds of consciousness as retribution and the seeds of the extremely subtle obstacle to that which is to be known are abandoned simultaneously, and because if at that time perfect mirror knowledge had not appeared, there would be no consciousness that can support the pure seeds.
According to another interpretation, this class is able to appear for the first time on the path of liberation when one becomes a Buddha. The seeds of consciousness as retribution have still not been rejected suddenly when the diamond-like samadhi is present, because they are not in opposition to the path of non-interruption, which directly precedes the path of liberation, because impure dharmas that are not obstacles, as well as mediocre pure dharmas, are really only opposed to the result that is Buddhahood, and the diamond-like samadhi being devoid of perfumable seeds, and pure dharmas not increasing, one must become a Buddha. Consequently, this class continues in a series without interruption from the beginning of Buddhahood forever into the future, because it bears pure seeds and prevents their loss.
The class of mind associated with the knowledge of sameness is able to appear for the first time in a bodhisattva when the path of insight is first present, because it opposes the twofold grasping. In the subsequent 10 stages, grasping has not yet been eliminated, and therefore in states that are impure, this class of mind may sometimes be interrupted. Following the stage of cloud of Dharma, the 10th stage, it and the purified 8th consciousness support each other, and it continues in a series forever. The class of mind associated with knowledge of wonderful observation regarding the emptiness of beings is able to appear for the first time in the state of insight of the two vehicles and subsequently develops up to the stage of a post-learner, the stage of resolve and application of the bodhisattva, or up to the superior states. It may appear totally if there is no impurity of mind, or period of mindlessness, during samadhi. Mind associated with knowledge of wonderful observation regarding the emptiness of dharmas can appear for the first time in bodhisattvas in the state of insight. This subsequently develops up to the superior states and may appear wholly if it is not impure, the result of knowledge of the emptiness of beings, or a state of mindlessness, in samadhi. There is an interpretation that the class of mind associated with the knowledge of achieving the task can first appear when the bodhisattva is on the path of cultivation, because it is acquired through subsequently acquired knowledge. According to another interpretation, it can first appear when one becomes a Buddha, because during the 10 stages, prior to Buddhahood, eyes, etc., as transformations of consciousness as retribution are not pure, because impure dharmas, as special supports for consciousness, must have the same object, and an organ producing a pure consciousness is not possible, because these two, i.e., impure organ and pure consciousness, differ in clarity and obscurity as far as objects are concerned. Consequently, this species of mind may only occur through pure organs when one becomes a Buddha. Also, it is frequently interrupted, because it arises from attention. The seed natures of these four, although existing intrinsically, must be perfumed before they become active. In the causal state, prior to Buddhahood, they increase gradually, and with the result of Buddhahood, they become complete, neither increasing nor decreasing ever again. The four knowledges are born from seeds, but they do not perfume and create seeds, because, in that case, the qualities of former Buddhas would be superior to those of later Buddhas.
2. Objects of the four kinds of knowledge. The class of mind associated with great, perfect mirror knowledge, according to one interpretation, has only true suchness as its object, because it is non-discriminating, fundamental knowledge, not subsequently acquired knowledge, and its mode of activity and objects are unknowable.
According to another interpretation, this class has all dharmas as objects, because the Mahayana Saitralamkara says that great, perfect mirror knowledge is not diluted concerning all objects. The Buddhabhimi Sutra says that in a Tathagata's mirror knowledge there appear images of all sense bases, i.e., eyes, ears, etc., objects, i.e., forms, sounds, etc., and, corresponding, consciousnesses. Also, this mind, without doubt, has as its objects all the impure seeds and images of bodies and lands. Also, its activities and objects are said to be unknowable duetto their subtlety, but like the alaya it also has as objects the convention, mundane. With true suchness as its object, it is non-discriminating, fundamental knowledge, and when it perceives other objects, it is subsequently acquired knowledge. Its substance is unitary but may be seen as being twofold by virtue of its functioning. It is said to be subsequently acquired because it perceives the conventional on the basis of realization of the true. Other forms of knowledge that are unitary but divided as twofold should be understood analogously.
The class of mind associated with the knowledge of sameness, according to one interpretation, is pure seventh consciousness, which has as its object only the purified eighth consciousness, because it is like the defiled seventh consciousness, which has the store consciousness as its object. According to another interpretation, it has only true suchness as an object, because it has the sameness of all dharmas as its object. According to another interpretation, which is correct, it has both the true and the conventional as its objects, because the Buddha Sutra says that the knowledge of sameness realizes 10 kinds of sameness, and because the Mahayana Sutras says that it has as an object the sameness of self and other sentient beings and, in or compliance with the disposition of others, it manifests boundless images of Buddhas. Consequently, this class of mind has as objects truth and convention, included in the two knowledges, with no contradiction with principle.
The class of mind associated with the knowledge of wonderful observation has as its object the specific and common characteristics of all dharmas. It is wholly devoid of obstacles and includes both fundamental and subsequently acquired knowledges. The class of mind associated with knowledge of achieving the task only has as its object the 5 kinds of present objects, according to one interpretation, because the Mahayana Sutras says that each of the Tathagata's 5 sense organs evolves in relation to all 5 corresponding objects. According to another interpretation, this class also is able to perceive all dharmas universally in the 3 times of past, future, and present, with no violation of correct principles. The Buddha Sutra says that the knowledge of achieving the task generates and enacts the 3 actions of body, speech, and mind, and the various transformation events, i.e., transformed bodies, determines the countless differences of mental activities of sentient beings, and is receptive to past, future, and present, etc., because it would not have this power if its objects were not universal.
Indeed, this class of mind may, by means of the power of disposition, have one dharma as object, 2 or many. When the Mahayana Sutras speaks of the 5 organs of a Buddha evolving in relation to all 5 objects, it does not mean that that is all they do, so there is no disagreement with the present position. Because it is born from attention, bears on the characteristics of things as its objects, and gives rise to transformations and activities, it is therefore categorized as subsequently acquired knowledge.
Although these 4 classes of mind are capable of taking as objects all dharmas everywhere, nevertheless their functions differ. That is, the class of mirror knowledge manifests the body of personal enjoyment and the characteristics of its pure land and bears pure seeds. The class of knowledge of sameness manifests the body for the enjoyment of others and the characteristics of its pure land. The class of knowledge of achieving the task can manifest transformation bodies and the characteristics of its lands. The class of knowledge of wonderful observation observes the abilities and faults of oneself and others and reigns the great reign of the Dharma, breaks through the net of doubts, and benefits and gladdens sentient beings. There are also many other kinds of topics such as these.
These 4 classes of mind are called acquired by generation. These acquired by generation are given the comprehensive name of Bodhi, and the previous nirvana is called acquired by transmutation, despite there being, in general, 4 varieties of the subject of transmutation of the support. Still here we have only been concerned with the 2 results acquired by transmutation, because the verses of Vasubandhu mention the words realizes the transmutation of the support. This state of cultivation is said to be that which can bring about the realization of nirvatsa and bodhi, not that which is realized, because the former is categorized as the causal state prior to nirvana and bodhi, Buddhahood.